uh, subject. Florida tolls, and really it kind of pertains to just about any toll or turnpike, something that you got to pay to pass through. They built one in Oklahoma City years ago that uh, I took one time. I had to do my state board out there, and my dad, this is, they built that when I was a kid, and they said that they were only going to keep it up for so many years till it paid for the road, and you know all those years later, and then after I grew up and I moved out there for a short time to Oklahoma, and I was like, man, that turnpike thing, man, I'd come through a couple times, and I was like, man, do they have free Chevy Day or what? But they would always make you pay, and I think it was like $7 or something, and it was just mind blowing that they would charge that kind of money. And so, uh, you'll go through different states and places, and your GPS will say toll roads and not toll roads, and so you can set it to avoid those toll roads. Um, and then there's some people that buy these passes that work through all these toll roads through different states and stuff. But I've known people that have had those. They have, I think it's called a transponder or something like that, and it's a thing that mounts up in your window. Um, and you do automatic bank drafts every time you pass through the toll. And I've known two people that said that they bank drafted wrong and overcharged them and stuff and things like that. So I never was interested in buying one because of that. I'd rather just pay them. As a rule, most of them they won't let you turn around. And so if you get caught in one, I did one out by Little Rock, Arkansas. I think I was on my way to Hot Springs or something, and I didn't want to take the toll road, and I accidentally got on it or didn't turn off in time or something, and like I didn't have any money to pay them, and I was like digging up change and you name it, and they said, okay, if you'll back up, I had to go in reverse like for you know like half a mile or something. They let me do that or something until I could get to the exit. And so it's like really embarrassing, and you're afraid the cop's going to come and arrest you. So always keep money in your car so you can pay these toll places. And they usually like exact change. Some of them you just throw the change in a basket, it counts it right there and lets you pass. Um, and then some of them have a real live person in a booth, and you pay them. But make sure you have money to pay them. Um, and it's not like you can pass them $100 bill and stuff like that. You need to have the money to pay them. So do make sure to inquire about those things if you can in advance, so that you know you have the money, um, and there won't be any problems. If you drive through a toll gate, they automatically photograph your tags, the car, everything, and they document it, and then they record it as a ticket. And you hope you know about it because, or anybody that's used your car and passed through those gates, because you can end up with a suspended driver's license, and the fees just go up and up and up, and they get horrendous. So I'll tell you a few stories here, and then I'll tell you what happened to me. Um, so, uh, oh, I don't know, about 5 or 6 years ago, something like that. Um, uh, some personal friends of mine for several years in Florida. Um, they had a couple kids, and the kids are all grown up now. And one of the kids was taking grandma's car to Destin every day from Valparaiso because she got a job in Destin. And so she was just driving through the toll gate. Never paid toll fee. And drove through there back and forth 2 times a day, every day for, I don't know, a year or something. And, grandma's pretty old and, rarely drives. And she would let, one of her sons and the kid drive the car on occasion and stuff, which is really not a good idea. But anyway, and I remember that car. It was brand new. It was beautiful. And today it's a holy piece of garbage. It looks like it belongs in the dump. It's so bad inside now. It is just horrible. Really sad. Nice little car. Anyway, so next thing you know, grandma's not driving anymore. They found out about all the tickets from the toll gate, and it was like hundreds of them. And so she probably had her license suspended over that and then had to pay it. And I imagine it was horrendous amount of money. And it's probably why she really stopped driving because now one of the sons has the car and loans it out to just everybody, you know. And I don't even think he has a driver's license any longer. But anyway, another story. I have a friend just recently, okay, like in the past couple months, they had sold a car a year or so ago to a friend in Lower Florida. And they kept driving the car, and they took it through the tolls, and uh, he was mad as fire about it because he's trying to find a way to make that person liable because he didn't own the car anymore, and all this kind of stuff, and a proof of all that. And so, anyway, several months go through, I guess, or a year or something, and this friend of mine just got stopped, and the officer says, are you so and so? And this guy had just bought this car. I think it was like the first or second day he had the car at a dealership, and it has insurance on it, everything. And so he's like, yeah. And he said, well, you don't have a driver's license. And he said, what are you talking about? He said, I just bought this car. I have insurance and all that. Insurance company would have notified me if I had no license. The DMV would have notified me if I had no license. So how would I even have bought this and registered it? Because nowadays you have to do it like on the spot at the dealerships. It's been that way for about, since the early 2000s. But anyway, so he says, look, I'm working and I'm driving from one location to the other. Is there any way that, I can, like, drop it off at my work or call somebody, have them come get the car, whatever. And the cop was real nice about it. So anyway, he was pretty mad because, he didn't know what was going on. So he parks the car and ends up parked for a couple days because he's afraid to drive it. And he's got to find out what is going on. He's got to take time off work to go down early to the DMV and see what is going on. So what had happened was the person he sold the car to went through the turnpike toll things like 900 times. And then, the bill is just like in the thousands. Well, they ended up, because they weren't paid, they ended up apparently suspending his driver's license, which he had paid the bill, paid the suspension, okay, when he found out the first time. And he was mad as fire over that so-called friend he sold the car to. And so everything was supposed to be fine. Well, apparently it wasn't. And this happens a lot. I've heard this a lot of times. Um, and um, I had a court hearing one time, paid a fine, and they told me when I paid the fine it was only like $35. And and they said, make sure to keep your receipt. And I said, why? I mean, you guys don't keep good records or what? And they're like, just keep your receipt. Trust me. Sometimes payments get lost. Always have that receipt. And I'm like, really? So I always save the receipt. So anyway, this friend of mine had to go down to the DMV and was just mad as fire. I said, man, I'd be suing. I would be suing the state of Florida, you know. And I said I would definitely call my lawyer. And so anyway, got to the DMV and all that, and they, you know, had all the stuff for the reinstatement and all that stuff or whatever, but they never did it or something, and then you had to pay another $150 charge or some crap for the ticket and something else or some crap, and it showed proof that he paid and did all that stuff and paid all those tickets off for the toll gates with the interest and all of the crap. That was paid, like a year ago or something. And so things can get really messy. Now, if you get stopped and you have no driver's license, they usually like to take your car. A lot of times they just arrest you. So, yeah. And if you're driving somebody else's car, that's a real serious problem. They better claim it was stolen because they're going to get in trouble too for letting an unlicensed driver drive their car and their insurance will not pay this. And I went through this with my ex too. We had to sign a document, an insurance company, because he didn't have a driver's license because it was suspended from another state. And they said he cannot drive your cars at all. So then my cars he doesn't drive. And they said, well, we want you, we want him to sign a statement right here that he will not be driving your cars. And I'm like, okay. So I said, well, you signed the statement. He's like, yeah. Well, because the insurance is not going to pay if you let the car out to somebody that has an invalid or suspended, revoked driver's license. So be very, very careful of toll fees because they charge you a surcharge. If they have to bill you, they're going to mail it to wherever your car is registered to. Not your driver's license, but where your car is registered to. And you better pay attention because if you miss it, then, not only is it the toll fee with their service charge, then it comes to an interest thing. And then if it goes on long enough, they just suspend your driver's license. And that's very costly. You have to pay the fine for that, a reinstatement fee that's usually never under $200, and God knows what else. Thank God I've never had to go through that. But the other day, I was going from Destin to Valpy and took the $4 toll bridge over by Destin Commons. And so I missed my turn to go to Valpy. And I thought I'll just get off at the next exit, you know. And all of a sudden, there is all these cameras, forward, back, everywhere, and big signs that say, do not stop. Your license plate will be photographed. And and the toll will be sent to you or something. And it's like, what? And I'm like, what the heck? And there's no turnaround, nothing. So, and then it states the fee is going to be like $1.50. Well, that's not all they bill you. They bill you a service fee for that too. So anyway, I'm like, oh man. And I don't recognize the name of the exit. And I thought, well, let me see if there's a way that I'm able to turn around legally. And sure as heck, there was a left-hand turn lane all of a sudden. So you can turn around. And I said, well, I guess I'm not the first one, right? So I go to turn turn around. There's no other cars on both sides. And I come back through and I have to go through that thing again on the other side that says, don't stop. You know, $1.50 charge. We'll bill it to you. Don't worry. We're photographing your plate. Blah, blah, blah. And there's no booths, no toll people, nothing, okay? And so I'm like, oh, great. No, I've just gone through this thing twice. So the next time I went through the toll thing with the live people there at the other toll place, I asked the lady, I said, what happens when you go through that thing? Is there a number I can call or a place I can go pay? Because I went through it twice. Because I turned around. And because I didn't know where I was at over there because I missed my turn. And so, anyway, she said, oh, yeah, they just mail it to you. So, today I went through there and I got one guy, and there was no cars behind me or anything. So, I don't want to take up anybody's time. So I said, this is perfect timing. I'm going to ask this guy and see if he knows. Because I looked it up on the internet. They have all kinds of phone numbers and addresses and stuff. And I was reading some stuff, and I couldn't get the exact deal. So I said, well, I asked this guy, I said, what happens when you go through that thing over there? Because I missed my turn to Valpy the other day. And I ended up doing it twice because I had to turn around and go through it again. And he laughed, and he says, well, and he hands me this card. Okay. So here's a card, if we can get it to focus. And there's the phone number and the address. If we can keep it focused. It does not want to stay focused. There it is. So, he said it's not a big hairy deal. He said, but they charge you a service fee. When they mail you the bill, it's not only the $1.50, it's like a $2 service charge or something like that. And so what happened? I'll probably get two $2 service charges and $2.50 bills on it, which is chump change. I mean, I'm working, I can do it. So I'm like, really? I said, is there any way that, I could just like call them and pay them or go to an office and pay it? And he said, yeah, just call these people and ask them about that. And so obviously I would have to read my tag number off to them and have them look it up and research it and see if I can just go pay it like right now instead of waiting for a bill. So, and I don't like bills. I do not like them. I like everything paid. And so I'm going to try and call them. Hopefully I'll have time tomorrow. And see if there's a place I can go pay it to or just pay it to them over the phone. So I can get it done. Because I don't want any toll stuff hanging around. You know what I mean? So if you don't know how it goes, that's apparently the total facts, and this is the card, and this is what I was hoping that I could get a hold of somebody and take care of this without having to worry about it or forget about it and end up with, a huge bill, or even like having my license suspended or something. So I'm gonna hold this up again for you guys. And this is for Florida. And there's their info. Let me get real close. There's the phone number. If it'll do it. Well, I'll read it to you. Okay, so the phone number is area code 407 264 3164. And then let's see, they've got their website is floridaturnpike.com, and then they've also got mailing address. But it does say toll payments for previous passage. Please send payment to the address below. Do not send cash. Make checks payable to FDOT Turnpike Enterprise, and then send it to their mailing address. So I'll call them and ask them what all I need to pay to make sure all that stuff is a-okay and there's no problems in the future. So, but it's a real serious thing now. It's a very, very serious thing. Toll fees, turnpikes, all that stuff. It's nothing to joke about. Um, like I say, a good friend of mine just recently in the last 60 days, it got stopped and they were like, you don't have a driver's license and all that kind of cool stuff. And it was just like, whoa. So, yeah. And be careful who you loan your car to, you know, because, if they do anything in your car, get an accident in your car, or run up toll fees, um, you could lose your license. Uh, I knew somebody years ago in Oklahoma that loaned their car out to somebody, and they drove it over a railroad track and got hit by a train or something, and there was a lawsuit, and it was a big mess. And the person didn't have a driver's license, and so the owner of the car that loaned it out got in big trouble. Yeah, but and most time if you loan a car out, they don't want to even look for it for 2 weeks. I remember a situation like that years ago in Oklahoma, where some friends of mine loaned their car to somebody who said they were going to the corner store, and they didn't come back. And then the police said, "Well, we can't do anything to him because you handed him the keys." So it calls back in a couple weeks. By then, the car could be in Mexico being parted out. They could be halfway across the United States. They could just be wherever. Yeah, yeah. So be careful with that. But anyway, I just thought I'd let you know if you have questions or thoughts about these tolls and stuff like that, especially in the state of Florida, that these are the things that can happen, and this is what you need to do, um, and to avoid any technicalities. All right, thanks for hanging out, and I hope that helped you, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Do something kind for a stranger, and I promise I'll see you in the next one. I love you.